Welcome. This is the Contreras Report International Edition, the week of 14 December. I'm Raul Lowry Contreras. Today we are discussing events in the Caucasus region in the aftermath of the 44-day war in which Azerbaijan defeated Armenia and recovered thousands of square kilometers of national territory illegally occupied by Armenian forces for almost 30 years. And we will discuss events in next-door Mexico that have profound effects on our everyday lives. So, the November 10th ceasefire agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan has experienced the most significant test a few days ago. Last Saturday, Azerbaijan troops responded to a couple of instances of Armenian irregulars who are still hiding in the liberated areas, firing on Azerbaijani troops, killing 4 Azerbaijanis. According to the Armenian side, 6 Armenian soldiers were wounded in the exchange. After this incident, on December 13th, Russia extended the area of its peacekeeping mission to include new areas. It caused much uproar in Baku, that move, as apparently such expansion was done by Russia unilaterally. Various political figures expressed discontent at Russia's arbitrary decisions to overstep its peacekeeping mandate. Will Russia send more troops to Nagorno-Karabakh? How about the rumor that Russia will offer Russian citizenship to Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh in order to claim in the future that they must protect Russian citizens? This is a modus operandi Russia has used in the Crimea and in parts of the Republic of Georgia. Russia has invaded both of those areas and occupied them with the excuse that they were defending Russian citizens. Another interesting fact is that Russia is apparently upset at the Azerbaijani victory march in Baku last week, which included Turkish troops and Turkish leader Erdogan in attendance, and a parade of captured Russian equipment Armenians left in the field of combat or destroyed by Azerbaijan's high-tech weapons. The Russians were not happy. In the meantime, Russia has banned Azerbaijani-grown tomatoes and apples from importation. Tomatoes are Azerbaijan's largest agricultural export, actually the largest export after oil and natural gas, earning Azerbaijan around $200 million a year. Why the ban? Is it a message to Azerbaijan alongside the extension of the peacekeeping area? Russia has always been uncomfortable with Azerbaijan's independent policies. Russia also announces it is considering broadening an earlier ban on tomato and pepper imports from parts of Turkey, Azerbaijan's ally in the 44-day war. Today, Russia withdrew its peacekeeping forces from new areas and restored the previous map of the peacekeeping mission. In any case, arbitrarily moving Russian forces around, especially taking over Azerbaijani-held areas whenever they want, is a serious violation of the November 10 peace deal. Further similar violations can create an extremely unstable situation in Karabakh, leading to another disastrous war. Armenia, whose army has been completely devastated during the war, would be the main side suffering under a new war. Also, this would tremendously damage the prestige and influence of Russia in the region. In our next visit, we'll talk about a conflict that has cost thousands of lives, that involves millions of people, and has been ongoing for 73 years and affects millions of people in the United States that the United States wants as friends. Now, let's move back to Mexico. 2 major events are occurring in Mexico right now that are extremely important to us in the United States. First, as we speak, the Mexican Congress is in the process of passing into law a bill that the Senate passed on December 9th that will limit activities of foreign agents in Mexico. Specifically, the bill is aimed at the American Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA. The lower house of the Mexican Congress, the Chamber of Deputies, is now considering the bill. The Senate has already passed it. This came about because of the arrest of former Army General and Mexican Secretary of Defense Salvador Cienfuegos in Los Angeles some weeks ago, who was charged with working with Mexican drug cartels in moving drugs to the United States through Mexico. The DEA was behind that arrest. Some observers note that the DEA did that as a long-running effort to pay Mexico back for the torture and murder of DEA agent Enrique Camarena in the 1980s. The DEA has a long memory. Departing American Attorney General William Barr has stated that such a bill, quote, can only benefit the violent transnational criminal organizations and other criminals that we are jointly fighting with Mexico. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador defends the bill his party originated and is supporting as it defends Mexico's sovereignty, he says. Currently, there are few limits to DEA agent activities, including immunity from Mexican criminal law. AMLO says the bill, AMLO of course is Andrés Manuel López Obrador, president of Mexico. AMLO says the bill would put things in order, quote unquote. In the case of General Cienfuegos, Mexican authorities were not informed of the investigation and only heard about it in the media when the general was arrested at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. The proposed bill, mandates the DEA turn over all investigatory material as it is gathered to Mexican authorities in any investigation. Experts declare that the bill will devastate DEA investigations in Mexico. The bill presents problems for the incoming Biden administration. That is a fact. Considering that President Trump had to personally approve the arrest of General Cienfuegos, he obviously didn't care what Mexico could do about the existing situation. Certainly the DEA was caught by surprise, as was the Secretary of State, the State Department, and obviously the President of the United States. Biden will be greeted with skepticism by Mexico, unlike the Trump administration that took office when 100% cooperation was common, based on the President George W. Bush created, quote, Merida Initiative, unquote. When López Obrador became president, he ordered the Calderón declared war on narcos. That's President Felipe Calderón, who preceded AMLO in the presidency. He declared war on narcos when he became president in 2006 on December 1st. López Obrador has dropped that war and instituted a new, quote, hugs not bullets policy, unquote. That's what he is implementing on a day-to-day basis. It has failed. Mexico is setting murder records every day. AMLO is not only he's not shy about coddling narcos. He publicly nicely greeted the mother of notorious Chapo Guzman, who's sitting in a U.S. prison for the rest of his life. Some fight with narcos, Mr. President, cuddling up to El Chapo's mother. López Obrador says that he will reorient the Merida Initiative completely because it hasn't worked, quote unquote. He says he will use the money for, quote, development, unquote. High-ranking PAN official, PAN is the Partido Acción Nacional, the main opposition party. The official, named Damián Zepeda, called the bill and López Obrador tantrum over General Cienfuegos' arrest. He aptly put it this way, quote, this is nothing more than Mexico shooting itself in the foot, unquote. Now, President Obrador, when he became president, announced a giant infrastructure construction project, 1,500-kilometer mile train between Campeche, which is on the Gulf side by Veracruz, south and east into the Yucatan Peninsula and winding up on the Gold Coast, the Mexican Riviera. He calls it the Maya Train. A local state judge has ordered the Mexican government of López Obrador to stop work on a 220-kilometer segment of President Obrador's favorite public works project, the Maya train. The 1,500-kilometer train running through the impoverished southeast of Mexico to the Mexican Riviera, the Gold Coast of Americans' love of Cancun, Cozumel, and the dozens of beach towns on the Caribbean coast of Mexico just north of Belize. Environmentalists and Maya Indians filed for a stop work order months ago. A similar stop work order on another segment of the three-segment train by another state judge months ago was ordered, and the work stopped. That order was lifted by a federal judge. The same will happen in this case. In Mexico, federal courts outweigh the state and local courts. The reason the Maya Indians declared as the basis of their court fight is actually the soft underbelly of their argument. The Maya Indians were the same ones that rebelled in Chiapas in 1994, objecting to, among other things, NAFTA, because that was going to bring more business. And they didn't want more business in Maya Indian territory. They like to burn the jungle off and then plant corn for 2 or 3 years and then move on, burn some more jungle, in the meantime destroying the environment. Now, where they live, the Lacandon forest in Chiapas is the largest and the only rainforest in North America. And they're destroying it piece by piece, acre by acre, by burning it down and then planting corn. And it's silly. Mexico doesn't need the corn. They can import all they want from the United States. The Maya train will displace us. It will drastically change our way of life, says the Maya Indians in their court brief asking for the stop work order that they did receive, but which will be overruled by a federal judge. Mexico has been hit hard by the pandemic. October set a record for exports to the world. Of course, most exporting is to the United States and Canada, but it does export to over 100 countries around the world. For example, I've seen this with my own eyes. Auto exports from Mexico to Azerbaijan, 8,000 miles away, have increased 500% in the past 3 years. Forecasts indicate that the Mexican export of cars to Azerbaijan will increase in coming years. More jobs for Mexico. So will exports of avocados, as Azerbaijan has been blessed with its first Mexican restaurant. I ate there right after it opened, and I judged the food to be well prepared and good. As I measure the quality of restaurant Mexican food, or Mexican food in restaurants, by the quality of basic Mexican rice, refried beans, and chile rellenos. That's large chili stuffed with cheese and dipped in a good egg batter and fried. The restaurant passed my 3 tests. That is pretty good considering the restaurant is 8,000 miles from Mexico. October saw Mexico export $42 billion worth of exports. That was 2.9% higher than October 2019. September was 3.6% higher than September 2019. These increases come in the 9th and 10th months of the year, which saw a serious decline in exports due to the pandemic. In fact, it was a year-to-date drop of 12.6%. over 2019. Petroleum oil exports from Mexico amounted to $1.28 billion worth for October, a decline of 30.2% from October 2019. Conversely, Mexico imported $2.71 billion worth of oil and gasoline and diesel from the United States, 33% less than October 2019. In agriculture, however, Mexico exported $1.45 billion worth of produce, mostly to the U.S., a 5.7% increase over 2019. All in all, the pandemic has heavily injured Mexico economically, but there are signs that improvements are beginning, and it will accelerate. Improvements will accelerate when newly created anti-COVID-19 vaccines become available in Mexico. We have a new tie into American politics in Mexico. President Trump faces many legal challenges once he leaves office on January 20th, and may wind up on the short end of the stick, on the short side of criminal charges by the state of New York and the federal government itself. He currently has an immunity set up by a Department of Justice policy memorandum in 1974 that prevents charges being filed against the president, the sitting president. The Mexican president and former presidents are also immunized by law from being charged with most crimes. The Mexican Senate and Chamber of Deputies have approved a constitutional amendment opening up former presidents to criminal charges. The current Constitution says a sitting Mexican president can only be charged with treason or, quote, serious crimes of a common order. The proposed amendment will enable the Attorney General of Mexico to charge a sitting president with bribery, embezzlement, theft, criminal conspiracy, etc., while he's in office. For the amendment to become part of the Constitution and the legal structure or infrastructure, the 17 of the 32 Mexican states need to approve it. Moving on. President Manuel López Obrador is flexing his political majorities in the Mexican two-house Congress in his attempt to slice away some of the national bank's independence. The Banco de Mexico is independent and sets monetary policies on its own without presidential interference. López Obrador's party, Morena, M-O-R-E-N-A, that controls Congress with 251 votes, is working to pass a bill forcing the National Bank to buy any foreign currency other institutions cannot redeem on the open market. About 100 million American dollars is involved, despite remittances from the U.S. alone of over $4 billion or more a month that banks easily redeem on the open market. Dollars are in great demand. The amount isn't important, it's the slicing off of some independence that's important. The Banco de Mexico is like the Federal Reserve System in the United States. The president appoints its directors, but he has no say in policies. Mexico's traditional macho culture is slowly morphing into the 21st century, the 21st North American century. The mayor of one of the largest cities in the world, Mexico City, where I was born, by the way, is a woman, elected the first woman mayor of Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City, 2 years ago. A trained scientist, Claudia Sheinbaum, is very popular. A recent poll published by Mexico's Wall Street Journal like El Financiero has her current approval rate at 70%. With 75% approval by women and 64% by men. This is the upside of my report on Mexico for today. I appreciate your being there, and I hope you are better informed than you were yesterday. If you wish to receive notice of positions of the Contreras Report, subscribe and you'll be notified. That's postings, not positions. Thank you for being there, and we'll visit you in the next few days again. I am Raul Lowry Contreras, and this is the Contreras Report International Edition, the week of December 14th, 2020.